I am your host. That's right. It's Jessica Koch, and we are back with Profound Professionals. It's the interview series that has been bringing you industry experts from all over the world. They help improve your personal life or they can help you grow your business. Today, we have an interesting guest because it's about the brains of it all. All the brains out there in the community, they're hanging out with my friend Louis. Louis, he is a podcast host of a podcast called A PhD Lounge. So if you have that doctorate hanging on the wall, or if you're working towards it, then Louis is your guy. So welcome, Louis.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks for having me. And yes, you said it right. I'm the host of PhD Launch podcast, where I run a podcast which is dedicated in a chill way, as if we were in a lounge and talking about the PhD universe and culture through late night talks, in which it includes interviews with current and PhD graduates, as well as solo sessions where I discuss the present struggles of a PhD student, namely doing the thesis, writing their first paper to a conference, etc., etc. And speaking of PhD, I am a fourth year, say final year of my PhD, to which I'm studying ancient history in Swansea University, based in Wales, the UK. And one good thing about myself is this: I'm originally from Portugal and I've been residing in the UK for almost 5 years, which will turn next week on the 10th of October.
That's nice. It's a beautiful place to stay. I think, you
It
know,
rains a lot.
yeah, that's true. You need to
But
take extra vitamin D for that.
including, no,
We're
I
not
totally
giving you
agree.
medical advice. It's just a suggestion. I've heard it as a rumor. It might work. I don't know. Talk to your doctor. But anyway,
I'll make a reference.
that's right. Ask your doctor. I'm pretty sure vitamin D can help this. But definitely it's very green and some beautiful things there for sure.
Yes, it says that 90% of the Welsh weather is mostly rain, but we do have some sunny days throughout the summer and even in late September. So
I
there's a
think everyone should have a holiday. Every time it's sunny, they should say no school, no work because the sun is
no.
out today. That should be the
No,
rule. I mean,
there's a good chance of having some plenty of tourism around here, and Swansea itself isn't a big city; it's a small
mm,
city, but it's well charming, very welcoming
mhm,
for all the tourists to visit the good
mhm.
sightseeings of Swansea and Wales in general.
Well, I always have a very much respect for people who have high level education. It's a
Yes.
lot of work, it's a lot of investment in time and resources. A lot of sacrifices get made to do that homework. And you said late night shows where you chat. Well, it's the only time you have time because you're going to class, you're studying, and you're doing late night sessions. So for myself, I have 7 children and 8 grandchildren, and I
Wow.
have over 25 years experience keynote speaking and in sales and marketing. And I always say I had to earn my education the other way. I have some college, but no fancy degree. And so my master's or PhD is in the University of Life. Mm,
Well, but still, though, it is massive effort
yes.
to do, and what it counts here is the happiness of the person. I've
Hmm.
decided to choose this path, and I had to sacrifice plenty of things to do because
Mhm.
I was having this conversation hours ago with my father, and we were discussing about that. Okay, the PhDs, many PhDs who are studying their degrees to not obtain to become a doctor of philosophy, as it should
Mhm.
says, they get high chances of getting to the market, into the job market.
Mhm.
Um, but here, what it counts is more the happiness of the person and
Mhm.
seeking those lifetime goals to
Mhm.
pursue what the person is actually happy to do.
Mhm.
So, in my case, I do definitely encourage anyone to take a PhD. If there isn't, there's no problem at all. is
Mhm.
respect and happiness, all of the above all.
Yeah, I've always chose joy. And for me, it was a matter of needing to bring resources into the family to help because we had so many children and choosing, am I going to be at school and then at work and then missing all of the children? And so instead, what I did was self study. And I took every course, every uh, cassette course, DVD course, anything I could take at home, anything I could just take here and there and get through, and for specifically for my study of interest, which is marketing and sales and
Mhm.
communication and all this. So if I was standing washing dishes, I was listening to my Walkman. No laughing, I'm older than you. And washing the dishes. If I was matching socks, and there's lots of feet with all those kids, if I was matching socks, I was listening to something I could, or reading the book and doing the laundry. And when I was in the
Sure.
car, I was listening to audio. So I did a lot of self study. Any minute that it wasn't for work or my children, if I could squeeze in learning too, I squeezed it in.
And that's a great thing, Jessica. You've touched a great point. And I also had a few guests as well that focusing on self-studying before
Mm-hmm.
taking the venture of going into a PhD. The
Mm-hmm.
masters helped them out as well, but they also did some external self-studying to hone their skills and then proposing something
Mm-hmm.
to conduct their research for a long term. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one good thing. That's not the solution. Is also pushing the boundaries beyond the university,
Mm-hmm.
and doing those things is also great. And so I did also with the podcast and many other ones. In my
Mm-hmm.
case, as I focus on the actual process of doing a PhD from the first draft until the submission.
Mm-hmm.
So
So how many guests have you had on your show so far?
so it's still a baby podcast. I mean, it's 3 years old. I had a few
Mm-hmm.
because I've needed to juggle my PhD, which is full time. I
Mm-hmm.
do also work part time at
Mm-hmm.
a restaurant called Nando's. I've been uh, introduced in teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a teacher intern
Mm-hmm.
in history of art at a business called the Brilliant Club.
Mm-hmm.
And so I dedicate myself to my podcast during the weekends,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes during weekdays when I get bored of doing research, and I focus on specific aspects that what is mostly bothering the PhD students.
Mhm,
Some of them they talk about the issue of writer's block. Some of
mhm,
them talk about the issue of getting funded.
mhm,
Others talk about being self-funded,
mhm,
communication in terms of academic and non-academic audiences, which is really important. And I had one interview uh, back in July with a guest called Dr. Michael Gerhas, and he recently launched a book called The Path to Strategic Impact, which is a good book, by the way. But this is mostly of the things that I try to focus on. These are the things that the students struggle a lot,
mhm,
and those minor things, trying to explore why do you think it is like this?
mhm,
What's the psychology behind certain aspects? And then I try to discuss this on solo sessions
mhm,
and try to come up with different examples, different case studies, and then trying to come up with a conclusion of my own. And
mhm,
saying, I could say to you, for example, my latest solo session was about the psychology behind being a funded and a self-funded PhD, and
mhm,
I created a story about it. And
mhm,
specifically, I could say within the UK context, which they are here, they are really fun. They are fans of going to the pub,
mhm,
so I've acculturated that a bit as well,
mhm,
having a pint of lager or pint of cider, whatever, and then talking about common things. And
mhm,
that the idea of coming with the self-funded versus funded PhDs came in conversations with peers of mine at pubs. And
mhm,
throughout the script that I've written, I discuss a few psychological aspects from fellowships to traineeships and having my own conclusions.
Hmm.
So,
I would think one of the topics of the day would be how to use or not use AI and like ChatGPT in your work, and how do you, what if even if you make it completely your from scratch yourself the old fashioned way,
sure.
is there software to run it through to make sure that it's not going to be flagged as that? Because now, how do you prevent that you everyone's worried about this, right?
Yes, I do agree. And AI, we have to admit that AI is a tool that has been helping
Mhm.
a lot. I've also discussed this with my PhD supervisors, and
Mhm.
using the AI, but um, in a more smarter way.
Mhm.
So let's just say, and also I had conversations with this about the AI and how to
Mhm.
use it properly,
Mhm.
because students sometimes they use the whole AI, the machine learning, and
Mhm.
they ask, uh, create me an argument about this and that based on this x y and z,
Mhm.
and the AI, for we know AI provides the whole detail, and
Mhm.
sometimes students are unaware that they are, whilst they're doing the copy and paste,
Mhm.
we as professors, we do have also an AI technology in Swansea University, for example, and I do think across UK universities,
Mhm.
they use a software called Turnitin,
Mhm.
where it's AI based as well, and they can also skim read through
Mhm.
and detect whether or not this student have used AI. And I think at the university level, I think the person must be really wise in how to balance the use of AI.
Mhm.
So using AI is good, but sometimes the students need to formulate on their own language
Mhm.
so that the teacher can perceive he did some original research and not based on what the AI grabbed from one website, from another website, and from another website and compiled everything into one as a single source. That
Mhm.
is easy to do it because during my time, when I was in school, in elementary and then secondary school, I could do that too in a manual fashion.
Mhm.
So it's plagiarism on both ways.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So, but if you take the information and rework it, I think sometimes it's nice to use just for inspiration or research or the starting of research and then confirm the research because you can't trust everything that you get from it anyway to be factual. So,
Sure,
take it as a starting point. So instead of staring at a blank page, um,
exactly.
it's great to get that inspiration, and then take a look at a few other things and make sure that you're infusing your own thoughts and words into it. But I think that's definitely a fantastic and hot topic. So,
Yes.
is there anything else you want to tell us about the world of the PhD before we move into giving us a great tip?
Uh, so I should say again, encouraging people to go for the PhD, and also PhD is not only just writing head down the thesis and doing some research, whether you're doing full time or part time. It's
Mm-hmm.
also the PhD universe encompasses as well your social life.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say myself, for example, I am a self-funded PhD student, and I've been almost reaching the limit of my thesis, and then starting hopefully from next year, starting to formulating everything that I have so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's all also about having the experiences of social life with other PhDs who
Mm-hmm.
are also on the same boat as you, and having these small moments get helps you mentally to strengthen yourself and also to conduct more research, be more motivated, exchange ideas, going to conferences to network with people, not only networking but also making friends for life.
Mm-hmm.
I think here in Swansea University, they the community, the PGR community or PhD community, as we want to call it, has been helpful for many of us because we schedule meetings, we share our own research, even though we don't know a heck of a thing about what others research is doing, but it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting to ask questions, and
Mm-hmm.
so does my podcast. that's also led to an award that I got from my university
Mm,
last year's May, when I
congratulations.
when I was in a competition called 3 Minute Thesis. I presented my thesis, my research in 3 minutes. Obviously, I didn't go through, but the experience was so pleasant, and I've managed to get an award to which I wasn't aware of it.
Mm.
Once they announced it, I say, "What are you talking about?" But this is my podcast. How can you announce me something that I wasn't aware of it? And then I just went happy, and then just said, "Okay, I got the award. I
That's
guess
good.
I guess it's another good thing for the podcast."
That's right. That's right. So, how
Yeah.
about giving us a great tip? If we're thinking about education or if we're in the middle of it right now, give
Hmm.
us a good tip.
Hmm. One good tip I think we could stick on it is, if you have something to a vision that you want to create, and from humanistic perspective, business perspective, or even both in this case,
Mhm,
build towards it
mhm,
and don't stop until you get there. It's not
mhm,
over until you win. And when you win, I'm quoting Les Brown, by the way, but then until you win, more challenges will come and more solutions you will have with your experience that you've gathered, if throughout your PhD or
mhm,
any postgraduate that you want to do it. um, and that's about it.
mhm,
And all about, you have to care is winning and be happy at the same time.
mhm.
That's what it counts as well.
Yes, choosing joy. I'm often quoted to say, "I choose joy. I choose joy in
Choosing joy.
all things." Yes, that's right.
Choosing joy.
I do. I choose joy. How about all of our audience out there watching? Thank you for watching and get to typing. We want to hear about all the causes that are close to your heart and care about. So tell us a cause that you care about, Louis.
I do care about the sense of teamwork,
Mm,
teamwork, and having the empathy of
mm,
towards the people. It's something that it's not easy to develop, and
mhm,
we get a lot. We make mistakes, we correct
mhm,
them, and then we continue to do similar mistakes, if not the same, and then
mm,
trying to go over it. And I think teamwork here, communication, teamwork, and
mm,
empathy for the other is highly important in this world nowadays, where the world is more competitive and the individualism is even higher. And so sometimes we need to help each other to
mhm,
arrange, to work on solutions. I say, from in my experience as still doing my PhD in my university life so far over these past 10 years, because I'm 30 now, and I've started university with 20. uh, what made me realize is to you can be a bit individual, but
mm,
also having the sense of how to work as a team within a working environment.
mm,
And sometimes we need that. Not everyone wants to do a PhD, and
mhm,
so therefore, those who are in that position, they need to come up with solutions, and those solutions come to talk, teamwork, having communication meetings,
mhm,
speaking about their own ideas once the others have spoken about their concerns, and
mhm,
then having their ideas, and then joining all of them to make a good solution. And that's what I think teamwork is really essential. um, speaking by sorry,
go ahead.
speaking
Yeah.
speaking by personal experience, and then I had an internship in Berlin, and I've lacked a lot of interpersonal skills,
Mm,
and they recommended me to work on those. And so far, for me, it was a 180-degree turn
mm,
to
good.
make that change, and then trying to share those experiences that I had myself with others, and they will have the same. And that's what I do think about the teamwork, having the empathy to push them as well,
Mhm,
and then they have to have, and then it goes to them to have their own empathy to rise up
mhm.
and continue progressing and
Yeah.
helping others as well.
I think teamwork, empathy, and communication are wonderful concepts, and they're needed in all the causes that are out there. So, if you're a volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, you're pretty much not going to come together as a team and build a house
Yes,
for someone if you can't communicate. If you're at the soup kitchen, if you're at the homeless shelter, if you're stuffing backpacks for children in school who have needs, all of this has to come together. Even if you're on the committee for a big a nonprofit gala to raise money for Red Cross or a local hospital or whatever your community is up to. Lewis makes a great point. You're going to need communication, you're going to need great empathy, and you're going to need to have some teamwork. So
exactly.
that is definitely a great point that you brought up.
And one thing is also about volunteering. You can try once, even if you're unemployed at the moment. You
Mm-hmm.
could try to do volunteering. It's just trying to get active and do nonstop. When I graduated with 24, I wasn't employed. I was looking for jobs. I was looking for this, and to to not stay at home, then I need to do something. I've done volunteering at an archaeological station of two archaeologists, which are two great friends of mine, and they helped me, and they also advised me to go abroad. And I also did some volunteering in distributing food
Mm-hmm.
to people with they with economical needs. And
Mm-hmm.
I spent the greatest 2 hours of my life every single 2 days per week in this case,
Mm-hmm.
so 4 hours per week. I've spent every single time before I got the opportunity to travel to Germany and stay in Berlin for 7 months before moving to the UK to progress my studies through my masters and now currently PhD. So volunteering is a good opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
networking with people as well.
That's right. So you put your comments out there. You've told us the cause you care about too. Hit that share button because we want to inspire someone today to give time, treasure, or talent to a cause you mentioned, to the cause we've been talking about, or maybe just a cause that's close to their own heart and they forgot. They said, "Oh, haven't thought about that in a while. Maybe I should go do and see how I can help today." So let's inspire someone to do something good. Hit the share button and put things in the comments. So now you're going to keep typing. I'm keeping you busy out there today. We want to hear about the books that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business, or maybe you out there are an author of your own. Type it in the comments in the chat. And when people are giving love and sharing this out, we just might be featuring you and your books too. Lewis, let's talk about a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your podcast.
Well, I've read many books and I think I've lost count of them.
Yeah, well,
Which
PhD kind of figured.
sure, sure.
You have to have a
But
book or two in the process. Can't avoid it.
no, no, can't avoid it for sure. And although I could quote um, a motivational quote from Les Brown, to whom I've already referenced here during the talk. It's not over until I win. Those were one of the motivational quotes that I keep following religiously to keep innovating, keep
Mhm,
working on myself, but also in also while being with others as well, to
mhm,
socialize, to develop your own skills, hard skills,
mhm,
soft skills, anything that can help you. Though for me, that motivational quote is solid. And also, uh, I've heard so many podcasts, and I've audiobooks as well,
mhm,
read books as well, that I decided to, well, why not to come up with a podcast, because I've read so many articles of to
mhm,
do my PhD, and this was the thing. So if I get into a PhD, then I want to settle to establish a podcast. And
mhm,
I've been planning this for quite a while. I've been planning it since COVID, during before writing my master's thesis. And the first recordings that I've done was through GarageBand, and was talking about stuff about school, university, anything. And then I said, so why not establishing a podcast if I get into a PhD? And that's where it's done. Once I get accepted in a PhD in April in 2021, to which I was about to start in July in that year,
mhm,
then I started to develop the concept of the podcasts. It came,
mhm,
PhD Launch came, um, the structure of it, 45 minutes for each solo session. um, how can I establish a website, doing some contacts,
Mhm.
create a Facebook page, Instagram page, Twitter or slash X,
Mhm.
anything, anything that comes up. And then my pilot session was on the 29th of June 2021, and my first interview was with a PhD student in history. She's already graduated. She's called Felicity McKee, and she was my first guest. And it was amazing. It was amazing because she was talking about disability in
Mhm.
Britain of the 19th century, and it was great. It was great. The great experience to hear something about helping disabled people and
Mhm.
people with disabilities in a historical context of the time of the Victorian era
Mhm.
in the UK.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that going backtracking on establishing the podcasts, having those articles that I've read. Again, I've lost count of them, and so
Is there a
uh,
specific book though that you would recommend? I know you love Les Brown. Is there a book that you really think of? We like to give somebody something they can go grab at the bookstore or from the library to read.
um, at the top of my head, it's really complicated to
There's
say.
too many books in the
Oh,
world. So.
one that I would recommend is The Art of War
Oh, okay.
by Sun Tzu.
Mhm.
I've read it a bit. It's
Mhm.
really good. It's about using tactics in a modern sense. If you use it
Mm.
for the
Yeah.
context of um, doing structuring your own studying
Mhm.
and using some of the tactics that he'll do that he says in the context of war, of course, that can be applicable if you want to set up plan a strategy. Okay, I'm doing this for 8 hours or
Mm.
even less, and then I want to have time to do my own personal things. So saying I
Mhm.
wake up at 6 a.m. doing my workout that will last for an hour, half an hour, and then
Mhm.
going to university, doing the rest of the strategy to
Mhm.
I'm going to write this bit, and it's going to be like this superficial, interesting, reliable, and resourceful for my supervisor to get the feedback. That is one of the strategies that I would recommend. I've taken that from Shun Tzu and also while also using the Les Brown motivational quote to
Mhm.
continue working on my thesis. So
I love that that inspires you. And you haven't written a book yet, but you are looking for your podcast to go full time, and you may convert some of this into a book in the future. Yes.
yes, so it's complicated, obviously, and sometimes it takes time because
Mhm.
the thesis is a huge book. The maximum amount of my dissertation is 100,000 words,
Mhm.
and to make it convert into a book, we'll need to have a revision,
Mhm.
and before the revision, I need to look for publishers that are
Mhm.
aligned to my specialty, which I'm specializing in ancient cities in the Middle East, specifically from the period where the Greeks and the Romans were in what we call modern day Syria and Iraq.
Mhm.
Yes, so
Wow.
it's quite complex, but
Mhm.
it's a fascinating topic that I'm researching, and converting into a book, it will be a must. And
Mhm.
the way I want it must be practical and informative for those who are not specialized in it, but
Right.
they might be interesting in hearing some thoughts and some bits of my research about how the Greeks and the Romans lived in the East, because we are more accustomed to hear their development in the West. Well, of
Mhm.
course, they were established from the West,
Mhm.
Greece, Rome, and then they set up colonies in other places outside Greece and Rome, respectively. So the conversion of it into a book will be it's not impossible, but
Mhm.
it will be challenging to convert it. But I do look forward for that challenge and having the time to do it.
That sounds exciting. I think you'll take the time. I expect that book to be there, and I bet over time, as you continue your podcast, you could do a catalog of books written by PhD guests who have been on your show.
Yes,
Because often that level of education lends towards a book to be produced, all the effort and work that goes into that study. So that's kind of exciting stuff, Lewis. It's been really fun having you on the show.
yes, I do really appreciate it, and the PhD will continue, and
Mhm,
there will be more PhD students, and who knows? And you said it right, Jessica, that uh, maybe a new book about the experience of my experience in interacting
mhm,
with PhDs, students and graduates on the PhD Lounge will be something on the long run. Who knows?
mhm,
Maybe in a few decades that I get the chance to write a book about them, and what am what I am learning
mhm.
throughout those experiences. So it's really interesting, and I would be a great idea to move it forward.
Well, and as we have social media and so much engagement and outside feedback from our audience, you can also incorporate what you're learning, but also what the community and what your guests have expressed that they
Yes,
are experiencing in their point of view. So it would be a multifaceted piece if done correctly. So that
yes.
sounds like another fun challenge to put on your plate.
It will be. It will be, and I hope that with PhD Lounge, so hopefully it will get monetized with the advertisements that I've been doing it. Uh, well, in its early stage at the moment, but
Mhm,
once I've submitted, then I would love to dedicate a bit more time to it, a bit more 8 hours to it, to do the scripts, writing them, recording, and then launch them, as well
mhm.
as the late night talks with my guests. And so that will be, again, it will be on a long run. So I hopefully, whilst looking for a job, then I would love to continue it, to run it full time, the
Well, I
PhD
think
Lounge.
that's a brilliant idea. And if you're out there watching and you're thinking, hey, wait, I'm an industry expert. I have a podcast. I have a book. I have some knowledge that will help someone's personal life or help their business. And I should be on this show. Well, come on, reach out to us and our team, and we'll let you know just how to get booked and scheduled on the show. But before we say goodbye, Lewis, we would love a final thought, a piece of information or inspiration as we close out today.
One piece of information. My final thought is, P- to the whole world of PhD and non PhDs. Again, if you have something in mind and would love to make it a reality, then go for it. I really encourage you. And speaking by personal experience, from who has had the opportunity to travel in different countries of Europe until reaching the UK, that I'm currently residing, gentlemen and madams, do get active, seek something that you really love to, and work towards it. And
Mhm,
I promise you that you will be so much fulfilling, and
mhm.
you're going to be able to help the others to reach those paths as well. Because again, it's about communication, it's about teamwork, it's about the empathy, it's about all of that. So help work on yourselves, help, you will get to the top. I'm definitely sure, keeping that mind consistent mindset.
I totally agree. So reach for the stars out there. If you guys have something burning in your heart, get out there and go do it. Get some help if you need it. Those are wise words, Lewis. And until our next show, everyone, I'm your host, Jessica Koch. This is Profound Professionals. And until next time, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.